Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to yet another edition with the African SME story. I'm just waiting for people to come in so that I can start the day. Sorry, we're starting a bit late. Had to run out of the meeting. So, as I said earlier, good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to the African SME story, where we tell you stories of African SMEs doing great things across Africa. So we're not just talking about Nigeria, we're talking about businesses and how they're striving even in this crisis. Today, we're taking a bit of a twist from across what we have done so far in the past previous weeks. We have had people from plastic industry, we've had someone from fabrication, we've had someone talk about marketing, talk about technology. We've had various kind of people tell us about different things with the, African African SME story and what they're doing. But today, we're bringing someone really, really very pretty and nice, telling us her journey and a story in the cosmetic sector. So we're having a tweet to tell you how can you start and function a cosmetic business. I will invite her in quickly before I read her profile, so that will be fast and we don't have to waste time. For all of you who have been tuning in every Friday, I am extremely very grateful. Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate your time and your listening in. Comments. It's never complete without the listeners, and we appreciate your feedback also. We hope we can continuously make this show better and even take it further. Hi.
Hello. Good afternoon.
So good to see you again, Abiola. Let me adjust
here. Thank you, Linda.
It looks better. You look really nice. So I was just talking about
the
recap of the previous weeks and how we have been. So we've been bringing various SMEs across. And last week we got a fantastic lady, Maury from Kenya, talk about her story and her journey. And then she also told us how she started the social enterprise, but is also making money. So I gave a bit of, let's say, flashback to the previous week. And then I talked about having someone really very pretty on today's show come tell us something to do with cosmetics and all that. But before we dive in, I always like to quickly read the profile of the guest on the show and then just give people a bit of hang on what she's into, what she's doing, so that they do not ask you questions off key. So we're going to be asking you questions that have to do with the beauty industry, the cosmetic sector, and it will be really kind of targeted. So just give me 2 minutes. Your profile is amazing, but I'm sure I will just keep some parts of it, but I will take a good part. So Abiola Desalu is a passionate visionary entrepreneur with a desire to harness the richness of nature and present its value to her customers. After 13 years of working with PwC Consulting for over 100 firms in 5 countries, cutting across the finance, manufacturing, telecommunications, oil and gas sector, her quest to build a global natural skincare brand rooted in the tradition of Africa led her to start Modara Natural Skincare. Born and raised in the ancient city of Ibadan, Abiola was exposed early to the potency of natural herbs and plants in treating and curing skin and other issues by her grandmother. This ignited a passion in her to learn more from her interaction with people from the diverse places, cultures, and nature, from the Gold Coast of Ghana to the safaris of Kenya, from the beautiful islands of Mauritius, Seychelles, and Madagascar to the Middle Eastern countries of Iran and EAU. Nature has provided its own panacea for health issues, and Abiola is bottling and delivering this goodness to customers all over the world. Built on a vision to change Nigeria's narrative for natural skincare products by creating a premium and high-quality brand, Modara Natural Skincare Products, natural bath, body and skincare products that are handmade with 100% pure natural ingredients. The name Modara is derived from the Yoruba language meaning I do awesome things, and that is the brand ethos. Love and respect for nature, genuine care and excellence are at the core of our value as we seek to create a proudly Nigerian and globally recognized brand. Modara's product line consists of natural cleansers, moisturizers, and self-care products catering to women, men, and children. So I will just read a bit. So Modara has achieved a few milestones since inception. She's been named as one of the top 3 finalists in the African Creative Awards 2016, Best Emerging Skincare, selected by She Trades in Commonwealth Project of the United Nations under International Trade. Modara's greatest joy as entrepreneur to create time delight for customers, staff, and others who encounter the Modara brand. She seeks to create a loving, joyful, and respectful environment for the staff and translates the experience to customers. In addition to her work on Modara, she's a coach and a mentor to young people, supporting them in achieving their potential and optimizing their opportunities as they navigate various personal and professional milestones. I had to skip a bit, Modara. I had to skip a bit, Abiola, just to so that we don't take time. But I'm really impressed. I'm very happy, excited to have you on today's show. And I know
Thank
that
you.
we're going to have an exciting 1 hour with you, having read through this wonderful profile. It'll be amazing to hear your journey and your story so far, starting up a business in Nigeria and, still hanging on. But before I go into leaving the floor for you, I did quickly. So what I do with some SMEs when I invite them is I check out their website, I check out their social media, so I know the direction to go. I check out their profile, I see what they have done so far, and you are amazing. So your social media presence across board is awesome. It's good. It shows
Thank
that
you.
you're actually moving with time and you're paying attention to details and to the customers and to how you want. This is not to say some other SMEs have, but for me, that's what caught my attention, and I just really want to tell you that you're doing a good job there, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
My first question will be in line with you telling us what. So I always ask SMEs. One question I always ask SMEs is, what did you study in uni, in the university? And whatever business you're doing now, is that in line with what you studied and what you really wanted to be? So that is like a guide to other people out there who want to start a business. Do I really need to study that? Do I need to, is it about passion? So I have learned over the past few weeks from many SMEs I've interviewed that the key thing is the drive and the passion. So for me, my question is, what did you study in university? And is that what you're doing now with your business?
Okay. Thank you so much, Linda, and thank you, Business Day Nigeria, for looking out for SMEs, for having me on this platform. It's truly a great honor for me, and I'm very happy to be here. So thank you for everyone that has joined. I see you all. Thank you. So I'll go straight to answer your question. It's an interesting one because my journey has been interesting. I like adventure, so I think it shows in what I've done and where I am now. What did I study in the university? Actually, that's very far from what I'm doing, but they are all interlinked. Every part of your journey is important to where you're going. So I studied electrical electronics engineering, which is a very, should I say science, well, very technical course that has nothing to do with skincare. And that was, the decision to study engineering was out of a long conversation back and forth with my father, who was also an engineer, and who wanted to push me to, lean more on my analytical side, even though he could see that I had both analytical and creative sides to me. And that helped because I think he laid a very good foundation for everything else that I was going to do after that. When I left school, I then proceeded to work with a consulting firm. Why did I choose a consulting firm? It really wasn't that I consciously wanted to do consulting, but I was more conscious of where I worked. I wanted an organization that gave me a great environment to work, a place where I could apply myself. That was really what I was looking for. And I found that at PwC, and I did work for them for about 13 years, and it was a very great experience. I worked in different countries, in, of course, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Mauritius, Seychelles, Madagascar. It was a beautiful experience. It also then fortified the foundation that I had from learning and from studying engineering. My journey with PwC took me through, I started with them as a technology auditor, so auditing business processes and technology platforms. After that, I then did, I joined the data analytics team. That was sometime in 2015, and which was great because it was also something new, something, it was a great thing to start and learn something new. I did that for about 2 years, and then I was then pulled into help drive technology internal audit, which was like harnessing all that I had done, processes, controls, and then technology to then help drive a new initiative in the firm. And that was also a great opportunity. And what I'd learned through my journey is, just being open to learn new things. I can't be just one person all of my life. You know what I mean? You can't just start off doing one thing and believe that that's the only thing you can do. You're so much more than that thing you studied in school, or even that thing that you're doing now as a profession. You can do so much more. And so I guess people are wondering, so how then did the skincare then come up? To be honest, I'd always wanted to own a business or to be an entrepreneur, as it were, just because I wanted a space to really express my creativity. And I did a lot of that in PwC, but I think the journey for Modara then gives me a bit more freedom in my own, personality to then express my creative side and my leadership style as well. And it was really born out of a need for my own skin. I have sensitive skin. I react easily to anything that has chemicals and toxins. And it was first something for me, and then I realized it was really great, and there are many people out there that need it. And then the journey to start Modara started.
I think you've actually touched a bit on my question with the journey and the experience. So I'll merge those questions together. How has it been starting up a cosmetics business in Nigeria? What have been the lessons learned so far, so that some people out there who are thinking of starting up a business in this line can have a clue of what it entails? What am I going to face? What am I going to face, and what is expected of me?
Okay, I would first describe my experience in three words. It's been interesting, it's been challenging, and yet it's been very fulfilling. And I think that's what you would encounter in almost the challenges you would encounter, whether you choose to take the leap into entrepreneurship or you choose to do a 9 to 5. Whatever you do, there'll be challenges, and you just have to, be willing to face those challenges and surmount it. The lessons I've learned, or my experience, has really been that being an entrepreneur opens you up for speedy growth. You have to grow so much because you're leading not just yourself, you're leading people, you're creating a brand that is interacting with people beyond your geographical boundaries, and so you learn a lot of things across borders. You get to interact with people outside or in a different environment than what you, at least for me, than what I got to interact with a lot of people at C-levels, at different levels, working at PwC. But Modara has expanded that net so much wider, and that has been a very fulfilling part of starting Modara. You have to develop yourself, because what you don't have, you cannot give. And the vision, the mission, and the drive for your brand is really, really resting on you. And so if you do not develop yourself, it creates a limit for your brand. And so that's one key thing for entrepreneurs out there that want to start. When you're working in a team, in an organization, you can still hide a bit under people. Someone is given the direction. You really don't have to, in quote, be a visionary. You really don't have to. You just have to follow what, you can just be a great staff by just doing what you're asked to do and doing it well. But when you then take the leap to be an entrepreneur, the vision, the mission, and how it is executed largely rest on your shoulder. And so you then have to really, dig deeper into yourself than you probably ever have before, and learn a lot and learn very fast. So that's one key thing for me. But then don't be afraid. Just take the leap and start. You will just enjoy the journey, and you grow as you go. So don't sit and then think, oh no, I don't want all of that, so let me just stay here. But if you really, really want to embark on entrepreneurship, I think that know that you will grow, and growth is a great thing. But just start, and you see yourself. If you overthink it and you're thinking ahead of all the challenges, it will create a lot of barriers in your mind, and you will never start. Just start, and you would see how you progress as you go.
So Listening to you now has brought up some questions in my head I would like to ask
Okay.
that most SMEs always go through. So some SMEs want it perfect, in the first instance, like they want to have it all perfect, and they don't want to start small. So they want a big office space, and sometimes I advise them that all you need to do is start from where you are. So it could be your house, just start small. But
Mm-hmm.
another major question that comes up with SMEs is the aspect of loans. So, what would you advise when you started in 2015? What was the first thing for you? Did you have to think of how to go to the bank to get money, to get loan, or did you start with the bootstrapping idea of using your funds, your finance, and maybe family and friends? What would you advise SMEs out there who overthink things and want it really big and perfect?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll start with the overthinking. I'm the queen of overthinking. Anyone in the chat room that knows me personally knows Biola wants it perfect before she makes a move. And what I've learned in my experience is there's even no such thing as perfection. It's a journey. Even what you have now that you really, when you launched it, like what we have now in terms of our packaging is so exciting, it's beautiful, but we're already thinking of, improving on it. So there's really no perfect state, but yes, you do everything you want to do with a spirit of excellence. And because now I know that that's should I say a strength/weakness that I have, I'm very open with my team. I tell them, guys, any idea that we bring to the table and we've given a go, be very, very aware that Abiola will overthink it. The next day, I'll start coming up with things that we need to do before. Just snap me out of it. I'm being vulnerable and accountable to you as my team members. Snap me out of it. As long as we've agreed to do it, let's just do it. Sometimes go ahead and do it. I'll catch up with you because I can be the queen of overthinking. And what I've seen, with the journey so far is you just have to start. You just have to start and start and then keep improving. I mean, don't start with something shabby, right? I'm not saying, oh, then start with something, but the beauty also is in your journey to be able to look back and see that, oh, this is where we started from and look at where we are. And that also, is applicable to even in terms of space. I started from my kitchen. And trust me, there's so many big companies today that started from their kitchen. That you're starting from your kitchen does not mean you're not doing it right. You can put all the necessary controls in place even as you start from your kitchen. And I mean, you could even rent a place and still not do it right. So you should focus on doing the right thing and using what you have. And I think life is really about that. What you have in your hands, just start with it. The same goes for finance. One thing I've always, learned and applied is never to allow money to be a limiting factor. I know a lot of people that sounds strange, but see, money is a limiting factor. When I say that, a lot of ideas that you have in your mind is being limited by the amount of money you think you have to be able to execute it. But if you free your mind from how much money you think you have and just imagine and create value, you would see that money will find you. The money to execute will find you. And then to start with whatever cash you have. I haven't taken any loan from any bank. I don't intend to. The rate in Nigerian banks right now, I don't think it's sustainable for any small business. I wouldn't advise anyone to. So if you really want to grow, there's so many creative ways you can do it. First of all, be very, very accountable with the money that you start with it. As long as your business plan and idea is profitable, you know what I mean. It's sustainable. It has the potential to grow and yield profit. Then start and don't be too afraid to grow organically. At the point when you need finances, people would be the one. We're now at the point where people are the one asking us, do you need funding?
Do you need money?
Do you need funding? Yes, do you need money? And I'm like, still hold on, because again, people I think are so itchy to collect money, but really I'm never focused on money. Even in growing the business, money is not my focus. Value is my focus. So when I'm looking at the success story of Modara, as much as the money is coming in, that's really not what makes it. That's not what wakes me up in the morning to drive the business. it is the results that our customers are getting and the value that we're able to bring to the table for the people that we serve. Really, that's what drives me. I'm not the type that would wake up and be gingered because we're about to make 10 million naira. Because when you think about it, you make 10 million naira today and then it looks small. You make 100 million naira tomorrow and then it looks small. It's a never-ending chase, you know.
I agree.
Money is a never-ending chase that you never come to a point where you feel, I now have made enough. However, when you change lives and you create real value and impact, you actually get fulfillment. That is not a rat race. You know, it's not a rat race. So as an entrepreneur, you may think, oh, I want to leave this 9 to 5. I want to leave the rat race and become my own boss and be an entrepreneur. If your eye is still on the money, my darling, all you've done is to change the track in which you are running that rat race. You're still on the rat race. So,
You're
so
saying a lot of things
that's for me.
that you know, I'm learning from. The problem most times I tell SMEs is not really about the fact that you want to borrow money. The major problem with the SMEs, they really don't know what they need the money for.
Absolutely.
So that's where, over the past few weeks, interviewing SMEs, you hear them tell you stuff like, I didn't really borrow until it was necessary. Then number two, you hear them say stuff like, I didn't overspend the money. So some SMEs are actually making money. But then they wake up and then they think that they need to buy a bigger office space for nothing, or buy a bigger car, or just acquire more staff. Do you really need it? If you take this money from the bank, what exactly would you be? Can you outline what you're using it for and how you will pay this money back? So you said something that's really good that I think they should take away from today, which is grow organically. Gently. And you know, they mentioned something about casing. So you need to be improving every day. Am I improving every week, every month? Where was I when I started and where am I now? If they can ask themselves and keep records of where they started from and where they're going to, I think that SMEs will do, you know, we do much better. Now, another question that's always a very big problem for SMEs in Nigeria will be raw materials. Like, how do you source for these raw materials, especially during this whole COVID problem? So financing is one, raw material is one, and then the right talent. So it's not really about the talent or the workforce. How do you also get the right talent, manage them, and keep them? Is a major challenge that SMEs are facing. You know, sharing your story with them would also help them to be able to manage these three problems.
Okay, thank you for that. For raw materials, depending on what you set out to achieve in Nigerian landscape, raw materials can be challenging, but it's not impossible. We do quite a number of importation because of the quality that we're looking for. But gradually, we're finding some of that quality locally. We're beginning to see organic certified farms that can actually supply some of our raw materials. So for us, because we set out to be a premium brand and quality of not just our packaging, but first the quality of our product, which inevitably is the quality of the raw materials that you put in, was a key part for us. A lot of our ingredients are USD organic certified. All our oils and ingredients are kosher certified. You don't easily find that locally. So for us, we have to import a lot. That cuts into our cost, but you then have to be creative. You have to plan ahead. You have to know what you have in your inventory, how much that can produce for you, and when you need to reorder. All of that planning helps when you have to, even when you're sourcing locally, because even your local supplier may be out of stock. So it goes into your planning. It's a production. We actually produce our products. So this is like a production life cycle where you have to think of your raw material inventory, your finished product inventory, and be able to, you know, balance how much stock you keep for raw materials, how much stock you have, you know, in finished products. So I'll say planning is a key way to overcome that obstacle. Yes, it is challenging. Timeliness of getting our raw materials in, cost of bringing them in is challenging. But as we grow, we're looking for more sustainable ways of either sourcing or shipping the products in. For, I think the second question you asked is...
So I talked about raw material, financing,
Yeah.
and workforce. That's talent. Getting the
Oh,
right.
okay. So the financing, I think we touched on that earlier in that,
Yeah.
Start with your own finance. And then before you run to the banks, I think the bank of family and friends can be a great one. And if you have not burnt your integrity capital, you will find a lot of people willing to, give you money. Integrity is a capital that everyone needs to hold on to. People would be able to give you, their money, and because they know that you would be accountable, you would deliver on what you promise, and you can get those for much lower than the banks, Then for human resources, it's interesting because I hear a lot of complaints, but I think that, you have to first of all know what skills you need, but also know what attitude and innate character that you need. A lot of times, even if the person is skilled but does not have the right attitude, it's hard. I go for attitude first before skill. I'm very patient. I can teach you. So if you don't have the skills, I'm fine, as long as you have the right attitude. So the first thing is to recruit the right attitude, the right personality. So someone, for instance, that is impatient cannot be your customer service person. You're going to have a lot of hurdles and a lot of apologies to tell the client, because the person has snapped and all of that. But that person may be the right person, maybe to lead your production, because he may be someone who is agile and is able to, get things done quickly. So knowing the right temperament, first of all, for each role is important before you now say, okay, the person's skilled, because it's actually easier to teach skills than to teach attitude. Most people at their adult age are not as malleable as when they're younger. So you'll be giving yourself too much hurdle and heartache and worry by recruiting the wrong attitude. Even though when people are recruiting, you see first of all skills, but when I'm interviewing, I'm looking first for attitude. Even when I was working my 9 to 5, if I was ever on an interview panel, I was looking for attitude. I'm not carried away by your first class or your 2-1 or your 2-2. I'm looking at you and assessing your personality and your attitude, because that is what I'll see to know how well you fit into the team. And then when you get the people, how you treat your employees also impact how much you get from them. I think that's probably also where a lot of SMEs, get it wrong. You cannot, again, give what you don't have. If you're not a people person, you will not get the best out of your people. Your people should be as important to you as your business. In fact, they are your business. The impact you want to have as an entrepreneur starts with the impact you're able to give to the people that work for you, because you cannot do it alone. They're part of they're part of the people that will help you drive your agenda. So you have to treat your people right. You have to train your people. A lot of benefit I got from my 9 to 5 was a lot of training, soft skills training, technical training, and there's so many out there. You can draw up a plan. There's so many free materials out there, but just give them an environment that makes them know they're going to be learning something. So there are lots of materials you can get on Coursera and so many other platforms that you can use to draw a plan and let them know there's a training schedule. Let them see that, there's a career path, there's a growth path for them, that when they join, they leave better positioned, even if whenever they want to leave, or even if they don't leave, they see themselves growing, working with you as an SME. So those are some of the things that entrepreneurs would need to put in place when they're employing staff. And the interesting thing is the job market has changed. When I left school, I wasn't looking to work in an SME. First of all, I don't think there were so many. Secondly, there were more jobs available. The banks were a lot more, and so there were lot of banks that could mop up the graduates. The telecoms were booming and they were employing, and there were just so much more employment opportunities. Now you don't have that much in the bigger established organizations, and so the SMEs are really the ones that can really help to
fill that gap.
to fill that gap. On my team, I have graduates from Unilad, you know. So you realize that you have people that are really skilled, that are well educated, that are available to work for you, but you have to give them a good working environment. You have to give them a good work experience, you know. And those are some of the things that will help you attract the right hands, the right skills, and help them to stay as long as possible.
You've said a lot today concerning, the staff you work with and the talent and how to keep them. And most times, some SMEs forget that their success is tied to their staff. So how well you treat and pass your vision and your knowledge to these people determines if you're going to get there or not. Most people forget that. So they tend to treat their staff anyhow, forgetting that this staff can actually make or mar your business. If this staff treats your customers badly, you lose your customers, you lose money, and that's the end of the business. So this is really key for SMEs. But before we go to the next question, I'll quickly just like to chip in on the fact about attitude. And someone said that attitude is everything. So I read a book a few years ago, I think from Joyce Meyer, talking about attitude is everything. And I tell people everywhere I go that book totally changed my life. Like I couldn't, for me, I tell people it's either you're doing it well or you're not doing it. And if you don't put your all in it, like everything you've got, then I don't know why you're doing it. So it's not about you have this task or this job. It's about how you do it. How passionate are you about it? How do you carry? Okay, so I work for Modara. Do people know I work for Modara? Do people see her products on my WhatsApp that I work here and I want to help her sell? What is my attitude? So if you have 10 people with the right attitude in your organization as a small company, it's better than having 1,000, because those 10 people will take you further than you could have gone even if you had 1,000, because they are extremely very passionate about your vision as the owner of the company and what you do. So I keep telling people, whether it's a business or you're working for someone, if you cannot work well for someone, you can't run a business, which will bring me to the next question that Bosoye 16 is trying to ask you. So I just want to encourage people out there to try and have the right attitude and passion, whether it is the working or business. Those things are really key, because we need both, whether you're the owner or you're the staff. It's really key. So Bosoye 16 says, what would your advice be to someone trying to combine a paid employment and running a side hustle? I know that most SMEs always start in that way, so they are working and they're starting up something and they're managing it. At what stage do you run out and face that one? And what would you be when you're still combining? But so you're trying to find out what your advice would be.
Okay. Thank you for that question. It's a good one. And I'll share from my experience. I worked my 9 to 5 for 4 years alongside Modara. I started Modara in 2015, June, and just shortly after we launched, I had to relocate back to Lagos, and PwC was like, when are you starting? So I joined in July. So like within a month of starting Modara, I was back, in my 9 to 5, and I did that till May last year, running my 9 to 5. So some of the key things, it's a good idea to run your side business whilst you're in employment. It gives you the ability to test the waters without, plunging all in, and helps you to have some funding whilst you're also growing the business. So it's a good business plan. But one thing you must always be careful about is you have a commitment to your employer. You should never take that for granted. Whatever you do, you have to do it with your own heart. So whatever you're doing, make sure that your employer is not suffering. Whatever you're doing, don't take it for granted. Don't spend your employer's time and resources to build your business, and think you'll get away with it. No, that's not the right thing to do. So go to your work, be as dedicated as you ever was before you started your side hustle. Now, as to when you transition out, it really depends on what you're looking at. So some people's side hustle is just extra cash. It's not a long-term plan. So for people like that, I don't think you should be thinking of when you're trying to get out, right? Because you're really just trying to just get that extra 100K, extra 200K, extra 500K by buying and selling. When you travel, you buy clothes, you buy shoes, or even something a bit more sustainable. You're not thinking long term. So that's, but if you're thinking long term, there will come a time where you would have to decide, you don't ever want to get to the point where your employer says, come and be leaving because of poor performance, because you're now only, paying most attention to your business. That's not a good place to be. You want to leave when they're asking you, no, please don't leave. When I was leaving my employment, my boss had a lunch with me and said, you don't have to leave now. I know you're running a side business, because I was open with them. But I think you're still doing fantastic. I think that we can still manage this. I think you can still move on to the next level, and even to the next level, and then we can have this conversation whether you want to leave PwC or you want to face Modara. So this is where you want to be when you're leaving. We still are on very good talking terms, because he wants to know how I'm doing. He wants to know how the business is doing. You don't want to leave when they're like, auntie, uncle, come and be going. So you really, really want to be focused. It is now a decision that you would have to make, not necessarily from a financial. Again, financial is where people go first. So you may not leave because your business is now making so much money. That may even be the wrong signal. You're leaving because you know that this is now the point where you need to focus all your energy. And then your different life circumstances can also determine. So if, for instance, you've got kids in school and the funding is huge, and you know that you cannot get that from the business, obviously, please don't leave your 9 to 5. Just let the business, grow gradually. So it will slow the growth of the business at that point. But first of all, your integrity is not at stake, and you're not out of cash. So you're not allowing the business to grow beyond your capacity to still attend to both, but you're still growing the vision, and that was what I did. For the first 4 years, I wasn't even, deliberately marketing Modara. I just wanted it to be sustained. I didn't want it to grow out of, hands in terms of what I'm able to do for my day job and what I was able to do for Modara. I wanted to be able to deliver on my promise to my employer and also deliver on my promise to my customers. So you just have to, key things you have to face. Integrity has to be at your forefront, both to your employer and to your brand. So it's don't chase after the money. That will help you know when it is time, if at all, to leave your paid employment to go into your business.
Okay, so we have lots of questions coming in, and I would like you to touch on all of them. There are quite a lot. So Prestige Lifestyle says, what peculiarities of starting a business? So I'm sure he's trying to ask, what are the peculiarities of starting a business in Nigeria?
Okay, there's so many peculiarities. First of all is, I'll say if you're like me, that I wanted a global brand. I don't want you to look at Modara and immediately know it's a Nigerian company. I don't want you to look at the product and immediately think, oh, this is Nigerian. And no distance to Nigeria. It's just really that we had unfortunately come to a place where we're used to, mediocre things. And so that would be your first challenge. Yes.
It's okay.
Yes, that'll be your first challenge. All the people, the artisans that will do printing for you, or that will do so many things, because you need them, they expect you to manage it. And you have to work with them to let them know, please, I cannot manage it. And sometimes you have to get it from outside the country, because the market, the people locally are not ready to apply themselves, and oftentimes we think, oh, it's because we don't have the machines. No. The machines are there. People just are not willing to apply. They have gotten used to that managing. But one thing I've seen is there's been a push, and Modara has been part of that push. I've seen now printers trying to match up to our quality. They're not there yet, but they're trying. I see some of them send me samples to say, they ask for what I have, and then they're trying to source materials to match it. And so that's part of improving the landscape but that was the initial challenge for us. And other brands too come and say, where are you getting this from? I see this quality. It's because we're not compromising in the quality that we want to put out there. So you will face the challenge of finding people that are willing to work with you in line with your vision, availability of those resources, and availability of people just willing to do that. It's not just even that the resources are, people just willing to do that to be a challenge. Oh, and the regulators as well. You know, I mean, everybody knows that there's a Nigerian factor almost everywhere. So the ease, for instance, of getting your NAFDAC certification is not as easy as it would be in any other country. You know what I mean? So those are some of the challenges that you just have to, you know, face, you know, with boldness and know that, you know, because you need them, you know, you need them. So the challenges, regulatory bodies, and of course the financial sector. Your counterparts, say in the Western world, can get loan at, you know, unitary interest rates like 3%,
3-4%.
And here we're looking at 20-something%. That's not sustainable. You know, that's almost wicked. But so financing can also be a challenge. But I think we've touched on that earlier, how you can be creative. You know, when you don't have too much cash, you're creative with how you apply what you have. When you have so much cash, then you're thinking, I can do this, I can do that. But when you just manage what you have creatively, you will be able to get a lot done.
So creatively
and then quality, you know, I think I touched on that in terms of getting people to work with you. So even like some of our raw materials, shea butter, you know, the people in that in that sector, being able to consistently give us the kind of quality that we want. You know, at some point you're thinking, is there something, you know, am I wrong to ask, you know, for this kind of quality? And so those are some of the things that keep me awake, to be honest. It's not about the money. What keeps me awake is sourcing, you know, the right. I do a lot of return. And mostly it is my Nigerian vendors, the people that supply me in Nigeria. I will return print work, return shea butter, you know, just to return because we cannot use it. And even my staff, if I'm not on ground, they know what they can accept. They will accept print job and tell me they can return it without even me seeing it, because they know that it won't work for us. They can return the shea butter because they know that we cannot use it, because they have been trained to know what is Modara quality, you know. So those are some of the challenges that you face working in Nigeria. But I think that the more we are, you know, working together, and some of us in the beauty industry, we're trying to, you know, push for that. The more we push together, you know, not just Modara individually or another brand individually, the more we push together, I think we'll achieve a lot more. I'll say so that we're balancing it. For instance, NAFDAC has actually improved, you know, a bit. Initially, their requirement for SMEs was really steep, and a lot of SMEs couldn't really meet up. But now, you know, they come to a reasonable. It was just a blanket requirement before, like the same, like a PZ would be required to do is what a Modara would be required to do in terms of getting. But now they've now created a niche for micro businesses, which is reasonable, you know, and that I think is a thumbs up for them. In this COVID period as well, they launched so if you are a skincare person out there and you're not aware about that, when you're in the beauty industry and you're trying to get your NAFDAC, I think it's already 4 months gone, if I'm not mistaken. So you just want to do that quickly. So the vice president launched a platform. They launched the NAFDAC online registration platform. And for the first 6 months, they're giving that rate at 80% discount to anyone that will come register. Before you needed like 4 or 5 rooms, you know, to register your business. Now you just need a I would say, organized 1 room, you know, maximum 2 rooms, and you can get that registered. So if you're out there and you're trying to start a skincare, you know, you don't need to run away from getting your NAFDAC process. There's still hurdles, but I think those are really good, you know, improvements that makes it. It means that you can turn your BQ into a good space that can be approved. NAFDAC can come, inspect it. So that would be my advice.
Okay, so I think you have done a good job with that. I'll quickly read through the remaining 2 questions here. So how do you launch from passion to business? A lot of people, they fear the unknown, and it keeps them in that safe spot, especially when they are employed. What's your advice? Jumoke is asking.
Okay. So everyone has fears. That's one thing you should know. Even the person that's seemingly doing fantastic has fears. You just have to not let your fears hold you back. Passion is good. It gives you something to wake up to, something to look forward to, but it's not enough. You know, you need to be disciplined. You need to be focused. You need to seek true value, you know, in what you're trying to do. As an entrepreneur, you're actually delivering service. You're actually a service person to your customer. You're not a big madam trying to collect their cash. You're out there trying to serve your customers, actually not trying to serving your customers. And so once you add all of those elements to your passion, you know whether, you know, you have it in you to go all the way. But fear should never be what should limit you. Even in your 9 to 5, there are fears that can limit you, you know. And you know what? There's never anything you lose in trying. It's either you win or you learn. So don't even think that, oh, because I started the business and in 2 years I had to fold it up, it meant you failed. No. You did not fail. You know, in your history and in your journey, for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, and those coming after you, you have tried something. You have learned lessons. As you're telling your stories, you and the people around you and those coming after you will learn something. But if you never tried it, you will never know.
You never know.
So, first of all, that fear of failure, just face it head on and say, you know what? Let's just give it a try. It doesn't matter. Modara wasn't the first business I tried, you know, but it wasn't that they failed in code, but there were decisions to wrap them up. But all of those lessons came to where I am now. Some of them were lessons in terms of, oh, this is what it means in terms of profit margin. So there was a time I was selling Daviva. It was just oh, I love this materials. I love fabric. I love fashion. So I'm like, oh, and there are people like me that work in the office. I won't have time to go shopping. So I struck a deal with Daviva. I get them on discounts. They're in my booth. I didn't need a store, you know. But I realized that it was a very small margin business, and the only thing that would make it sustainable would be volume, you know. So when I rolled off the business, it wasn't because it failed. But I learned that quickly to say, you know, when you have to be conscious of how much capital you need versus how much margin you make on that capital, and how much volume, you know, you need to sell, because just 2 materials that you give out has wiped out 10 materials that you sold. So those were like business learnings that I just learned from doing that. And so there's really never anything wrong in trying. Just try. There's so many ideas out there. Someone is waiting for your idea. So I think when you look at that as well from that angle, that it's not about you. It's that someone needs what you have to offer. I think that will help you let go of your fears. When you're internalizing it and thinking, oh, me, am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? You know, do I have this? Do I have that? Then you will actually be held back. But when you look at it and say, someone out there needs this thing, even if it is just one person that needs this solution that I have to give, then it will help you to launch. And I think that should be what you should focus on.
You know, most times I listen to loads of videos, you know, from Goldcast, and they tell you that your greatest fear is in your mind. Once you can overcome that fear in your mind, you know, whatever you can achieve you can achieve even the impossible, because your mind is well driven. So I think people should take that away and stop looking for how it should be perfect. Just try. And you mentioned something, people are actually waiting for that idea. You never know whose life you're going to touch. And I tell some people, some ideas are only going to be given to one person in this lifetime. And you might keep saying, oh, I'm scared, I'm not sure it's going to work, and never try. So why not just try and fail rather than not trying at all? I think businesses should always try, give it a touch. One thing you mentioned before our time goes up is that you mentioned something about the manage it syndrome, which is a very big problem in Nigeria, where people do jobs that are not really nice or shabby, and they just expect you that, manage it like that now. You know, and I saw that perfection element in your brand quality. I was thrilled. I thought that product was made in London or outside Nigeria. I was like, wow, this packaging is fantastic. This looks really good. I really couldn't, I was hoping to really hear, you know, your story, because I couldn't believe that those products were made in Nigeria. And it gives a benchmark, right? So you're telling people you can even do better than what I have done. So many questions are coming in, so let me skip myself. So quality assurance is the key for the sustenance of any business, says Mafo. I have 2 questions in here already. So someone says, how how do you teach integrity if it's not reachable? How do you inspire one? The survival of a business requires, amongst many other things. And someone else asks again, with COVID pandemic, what is the new normal? So I have two questions now, and then I have one more question before time is up. We have about 5 minutes, to go.
Wow. Okay, let
Yes,
me rush
and
through
now
the
it's
list.
gone.
How do you teach integrity? Wow.
That's hard.
That falls under attitude, and sometimes it's hard, but
Yes.
you try. So I'll say just quickly without being specific. First of all, is to create an environment that enhances integrity, that encourages integrity. Again, the onus falls on you as the owner of the business. You have to create an environment that encourages integrity. And how do you create an environment that encourages integrity? You have to be very open with your staff. You have to let people know the consequences of certain actions. And consequences shouldn't always be, the stick and the stick and the stick. So for instance, I tell my lead production staff, you're a leader, it wasn't even an integrity issue, but I just want to use it as an example. It's very easy for her to, tell people, point and say, this is the person that did wrong. This is the person that did wrong. And I tell her, I say, no, that's not the right way to lead people. The team is under you, and the results are collective, whether it's good or bad. So when something hasn't been done right, don't throw your staff under the bus. Don't throw your team under the bus. Own, the way you own when it's good, you have to own when things don't go right.
It's bad.
Because that way you know that you have the responsibility to make sure things are right, whether you're there or not. And that's the way I'm dealing with you. So, you have to help them see the whys and the whys. It helps. And then you put the right controls in place. Even if you employ angels, you want to put the right controls in place. That also helps set a reminder that, things will not go unnoticed, and then have those processes documented. Let people know what the consequences are. But don't let that consequence be a threat. If not, you don't want people walking on eggshells around you because they're working for you. So because it also trickles down to the customer. So if I'm not there and something has gone wrong with a customer's order, my team, they are not scared. They're not scared to address it because they know that it's not the response from me is not going to be, I'm deducting it from your salary, I'm taking it from your this. No. I always want us to, for me, what's important is what is our lesson? Why did things go wrong? What went wrong and why? Where did we drop the ball? And so that's what I say. Where did we drop the ball and how can we improve? And then we move on. And then we improve on our processes. That way, even your staff, they come to a place where they are peace. They're not on the edge of their seat working with you. It helps with integrity. Also compensate them well, whether, not just financial, asset training, a good and worthy environment for them to come, and feel like they come to put their best and all of that. It helps with an environment that encourages integrity. And don't be afraid to let go of staff that really cannot comply. Once you see that it's not working, be quick, very quick, because you also do not want, them to negatively influence the rest. So, but you already have processes in place to encourage and improve. But when you see that, it's not, they're seemingly not just cut out for that, you just have to quickly let them go. So that's for, I hope I'll be able to deal with that. I think the next question was, what's the new normal now in the COVID?
COVID, yes.
Yes. Well, a few changes that we've had to make. I think there's no one that can really tell you this is really what's going to happen. No one has seen this before. So you just have to go deep inside you and do what is right and what's best and the main goal. Currently, what we've done is reduce our staff exposure. So even though the business landscape in Lagos has seemingly opened, I don't want my staff being exposed unnecessarily. So we've changed things around a bit in terms of how we produce and how we serve our customers. So my staff don't come to work every day. They come 3 times a week. And that has changed how quickly we're able to deliver to customers. But we're working on ensuring that we're still as effective as possible. It reduces the risk for them as much as possible. We stopped even coming to work fully, even after the Lagos was open for people to go about, because we just wanted to assess the situation and be sure, how to go about things. For production, what we've done is to bring the staff in for 1 week, house them. They don't have to go back and forth every day because it's harder to, do production on alternate days. House them for a week. We do production in that 1 week, and then they are off for the month. That way they're not coming in and out every day and being exposed to, to COVID. In terms of being able to deliver to our clients, we've always been an online business in terms of reaching out to clients. So we already have processes. We have a website, people can order and pay, and then we have agreements with different shipping companies, including DHL, to ship in Nigeria and out of the country. So we've been shipping to Canada, US, UK, France, everywhere, even during the COVID. In terms of delivery, we weren't really impacted. But every business will have to keep, looking for how to improve, how.
So you have to speak up a bit, Abiola.
Oh, okay,
speak up a bit. They can't hear you. Yes.
Oh, sorry. So I said every business would have to keep being nimble and find ways to use technology to drive their business, because we've all seen that technology is one way, to help your business being well sustained in this period. That's one way you can reach, even actually reach more people. When you're online, your presence is global. And in doing that, I'll quickly put that means that your mindset also has to be global. When you're engaging on your social media, you're not engaging to a Nigerian audience. There are people watching your business from across the world. When you set up your website, there are people that are available. Your business is now available for people to see from across the world. So when you're setting up all of those platforms, please think about that. Don't just think local. The more we are Nigerian brands, African brands that stand out, actually the better it is for Africa. Africa for so long has been the raw material continent. We have to change that. We have to create value. We have to produce. We have to manufacture. That's why our currency has fallen. It's not really just the government. Of course, government policies would enhance and support manufacturing, but in all our little ways, if there are like 50 Modaras out there coming out of Nigeria, then Nigerian brands are more believable. Nigerian brands are more believable. I've been to international exhibitions, when I was in New York in February. They were like asking me, am I a Nigerian based in the US, or am I a Nigerian that came from Nigerian? You see the surprise in their face when they see that I'm a Nigerian, that some would ask as much as, did you school in Nigeria? And I'm like, yes, I schooled. All my education has been in Nigeria. And they're like looking at you funny. And they're asking, so is this product from Nigeria? I'm like, yes, it is from Nigeria. But you see, more of us need to be that way. More of us need to be that way. It's a pride and joy for me that I'm on a plane. I sit with a Caucasian. I bring out my Modara small jar like this. I'm trying to use it to moisturize my hands. She says, what's that? I tell her about the brand. I tell her about the product. And I don't leave with that product. She takes it and she's asking me, can I use it on my face? Can I use it on my lips? And for me, that's the joy.
Time is almost up.
A Caucasian can see me, a black woman, and my product, and immediately apply it on her face. I think that speaks for what we can do. So I think that's my encouragement for anyone that wants to start up anything in Nigeria. Please think global, think excellence, and do it well.
Thank you, everyone. I couldn't have done this without Abiola. I'm afraid that we're going to be cut short, so I need to end because we have 1 minute remaining. But before I go, I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to thank people sending in. So someone says, please, can we connect our farmers to your brand? Yes, I'll tell them to DM you, and they can DM business if they want to get any further, link to you. I want to thank support for African SME Business Day. So follow at Business Day NG. Thank Clark Energy. Thank Sun Group. Every Friday by 2 o'clock, we bring you this show, bringing fantastic SMEs across Africa, sharing their story. And for us, we want to just propagate hope. It's not always doom. There's still some people doing great jobs, doing well, and we want you to learn from them. You don't have to make mistakes, so you can learn from them and be better at what you do. On this note, I will say thank you very much to everyone who has tuned in. I can see all your fans. Abiola, everyone say thank you, good job.
Thank you everyone for
everyone for your time.
Thank you.
Until I see you again next week, Friday. It's still the African SME story. Bye, Abiola.
Bye, Linda. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness.